we have been talking about lately. It seems like an uptick in teachers sexually assaulting, or I should say, abusing students.
Yeah.
And we have another one here. This is out of Ohio. A married mother of three. Her name is Emily Nutley. She was 43. She is, I should say, 43 years old. Counselor, high school counselor, admits to sexually abusing a student in her office. And guess what? She blames her husband for neglecting her.
Emily Nutley went from the director of academic services at St. X High School to a convicted felon now facing prison time.
And how would you describe your work career?
Long, successful.
Her 18-year career came to an end last year after she was indicted on sexual battery charges.
During her employment, and specifically on November 19th and December 8th of 2023, she engaged in sexual conduct with a student of hers. The student was a 17-year-old male.
Today, for the first time publicly, Nutley admitted to the accusations.
Did you engage in sexual conduct with a 17-year-old male on those two dates?
Yes. Each of those are a felony in the third degree.
How do you plead as to those two counts?
Investigators say Nutley had been helping the teen with schoolwork, then began having contact with him outside of school hours. They say Nutley sent the teen nude photos and sexually explicit messages, then began to have a sexual relationship with the teen, both on and off school property. Today, Judge Jennifer Branch accepted Nutley's change of plea and convicted her of the two felonies.
Do you agree to accept whatever penalty I impose up to the maximum allowed by law?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Nutley will be sentenced June 10th. She faces anywhere from probation up to a maximum of 10 years in prison. She will also have to register as a sex offender. Reporting live in Springfield Township tonight, Karen Johnson.
Wow. Michelle, what is going on?
You know, I think that what we were saying and exposing, well, we're seeing an uptick. We're not necessarily seeing an uptick. We're seeing an uptick in women, in the female leadership doing it, because we see so many stories, case after case, where there are men abusing or assaulting these students, the young female students. But we're starting to see a huge uptick in women and females. And I think we've got to start facing reality, and that this type of predatory behavior, these demonic entities, these Jezebel spirits, it's not relegated to one gender. Women can have that same thing as men, and this is predatory, this is demonic, this is evil, it is attack of a child. And let's just say, forget the marriage thing. She's married and she has children. There are millions of men out there. She could have gone to any bar. She could have gone to any club. She could have had indiscretions of their online dating sites galore. She can find anybody. She specifically targeted prey. She targeted her prey. It was a child, somebody who was under her authority. And that is also disturbing. I don't know how to end this, but maximum penalties, like anything you can throw at them has got to be thrown. This is not an accident. She knew their age, because I've heard the, stories where I'm like, oh my gosh, they met on the street somewhere and they didn't even know their age. You got to ID people, but this is not, this is intentional. We have to start vetting people. We have to start checking in. We got to do better as a system.
Yes, indeed. We have a super chatter here. Kung Fu CJ, thank you so much. With the $2 super chat, says this is more than wrong. Absolutely. Folks, again, we push it. We look through this through a spiritual lens. As you said, Michelle, prayer has been removed. The Bible has been banned. Morality became relative. And what was it replaced with? Follow your heart, live your truth, don't judge. That's not education. That's moral anarchy. And now we're reaping what we've sown. Yeah. This is what it is. I have a Bible verse here, Romans 1:28. God gave them over to a debased mind to do what ought not to be done. You kick God out of the classroom and the devil walks in. This is what it is. This is starting, this to me, this is a concerted effort to target our children. Because guess what? The same thing that goes on in Hollywood with these young child actors and actresses and some young singers being molested, sexually abused, and all of that type of stuff. This is trauma happening here. Yeah. Right in the classroom, and our taxpayer dollars are paying for it.
And then KJ, I want to bring this to you and to our viewers. So when I was in college, I was studying, I couldn't decide what I wanted to do. And I still study ancient civilization, but I studied ancient civilization. And that's why I love Jonathan Cahn's book, Return of the Gods. You need to know this was happening hundreds or thousands of years ago now in ancient Greece, ancient Spartan. So this was a system that was there when they did not believe in our God. They would groom. It was not new. These soldiers, these male soldiers, they would take on young children and groom them not only in warfare, but in other things, sexual immorality. This was a pattern. And so God knew what he was doing when he gave the law. He knew what he was doing when he was battling this. So we know there is no new thing under the sun. This is not new. Thousands of years ago, this was a normal cultural event where the groomers were put in place, the teachers were put in place, and they would have a child student underneath them. That was normal then. We know it to be wrong, but that is why I say we have to understand this is a spiritual battle, because we have over-sexualized, hyper-sexualized, even in the, them, the, we've let people figure out gender. So we have opened up the floodgates to bring this same immorality back that was there thousands of years ago. So when I see this, I see that from the lens of not just spiritual, but from a historical viewpoint. Like, this has happened before. Why are we allowing this to happen now? We can take authority over that. We can stop this. We have to be on notice. But people of prayer, people of God have to do something, and we don't. Frankly, we look the other way, just like the secular world. We highlight it, but we don't do our due diligence and pray and clean it up and do what we're called to do.
Right. Exactly. And, it takes everybody. It takes all of, like you said, the prayer warriors, people, that are, but it also takes people speaking up, about it boldly. Some people, believe that we as Christians, I know the Bible talks about be meek and slow to anger. I get all of that, but sometimes you gotta get in there and you gotta really push back, and I mean push back with the hammer, because Satan doesn't need to break into our homes. He'll wait for our kids in school. And as you mentioned, they are creating an environment, with education becoming more about sexual ideology and moral ambiguity. They are creating an environment that is ripe for this type of conduct. So we got to be there. We got to be praying at home, but we also got to be showing up in person. If you're unable to homeschool, you have to keep your heel on their necks in the classrooms, reaching out to the teachers and the administrators, and also talking to the children.
Yes,
that is important. Yes,
we have to start checking those messages. I wonder how many teachers or people there notice these patterns. So I'm seeing inside the schools themselves, who's watching this? Because this is happening in the school and outside. There's just so many places where this is breaking down, and our children are victims.
Right. And then she had the nerve, this counselor had the nerve to blame her husband. And what is that? That's Adam and Eve style deflection. The wages of sin is death. And if this woman doesn't repent, she'll face earthly justice and eternal judgment. So she's already, she did acknowledge, she did, say that she did it. She pleaded guilty. So now her sentencing, I believe, is set for June. So we will continue to follow this. Accountability isn't cruelty, it's justice, and it's love for the victim, and it's fear for God. So I do hope that God's justice is served in this situation.